What's up, everybody? Ladies and gentlemen, we back. Metta World Peace with the XvsX Sports Podcast. I want to talk about when I was 19 years old, coming from St.Johns. And you see, St.Johns is back. Chris Mullin, he was a part of the 85 Final Four team. And, we had a slump for a couple years. We wasn't making noise. Felipe Lopez came to St. John's. Zendon Hamilton, Tariq Turner. Colin Charles was there before I was. And, we had a rough patch. And when Felipe was there, I was a freshman. We went to the tournament for the first time in a long time. And then when they left, we went to the Elite Eight. That first year we lost to Detroit Mercy. And I'm fresh out of LaSalle Academy, 2nd Ave, 2nd Street, Q train to the F train, and it was just an amazing experience. I always wanted to stay home. I had options and opportunities to go to other schools, but I thought staying home at St. John's was big. Riverside Church, Gauchos, Long Island Panthers, Aim High, New York City, Soul in the Hole. I played everywhere in New York City. I played in Soul in the Hole, and Booger Smith made me drop. He did a crossover, and the whole crowd, they all ran onto the court. And I was I think I was like 15 or 16 years old. And I remember wanting to fight everyone because I was embarrassed. And Booger Smith, legendary NBA talent, easily NBA talent. But, Booger Smith was in the streets. And but I remember playing in those type of atmospheres. Gun Hill in the Bronx. We went back to back at Gun Hill, Queensbridge team, Gershwin Park, Brooklyn, back to back champs. I remember in Gershwin Park, we was in the hood. It's different now. It's more commercialized and it's more, they got sponsors, but when we was there, no sponsors. The games was great. I was young and people was giving me the opportunity to play with men. And I just, I'm grateful for those moments. 119 2nd Ave, the PIF unit, 119 2nd Ave, the pole right in the middle of the court. Not in the middle of center court, but on the baseline. You run into the pole, bing, it's gonna be over. Packed, PIF unit, they in the building. King Dome, like the in Project Stadium. I think they're building another one right now. King Dome, Uptown. The Rucker, 155th. Then later you had Mousie's Tournament, Tri-State. All this is New York City. Elm Core and East Elmhurst, Queens. You know what I'm saying? Lincoln Park. All these tournaments, New York City was on and rocking. Hoops in the sun. Then obviously you had the tournaments in Queensbridge. Block to Block tournament. On and popping. Astoria Projects tournament. On and popping. Watson Park. Watson Projects, on and popping. You understand? Gaucho Gym, And then you could even take it back to CYO, St. Rita's, St. Joe's, St. Sebastian, St. Anne's. They killed us in the finals one year, 49-19. I was pissed. Eric Barkley was on the team. A couple of my other boys. Brian, my boy Brian from Farragut or Fort Greene, he was on that team. So this is New York City. This is what I was doing. We go out, we play ball, PS 111 in Ravenswood. Junior high school 204 in Ravenswood. We everywhere, and I won championships a lot of places in the streets. And then St. Johns, New York Knicks. And I just knew I was going to play for the Knicks. I just knew I was going to play in New York. Number 15 pick. I was projected to go top 10. But, I was in Queensbridge at the time. People knew I was a street dude. So a lot of the schools, they didn't recruit people like, Metta World Peace, or Ron Artest at the time. Because when you're going to college, you want a good guy. You want a guy who's good in academics. You want a guy who's not going to get in trouble. You don't want a guy that grew up like me, right? Well, when I coach, I want guys like me. I want all 12 guys just like me. I'm not gonna turn my cheek on guys like me from the streets. And I'm not saying like LeBron James is not from the streets. I'm not saying like Zion Williamson is not from the streets or Michael Jordan. I don't know where these people from, but I'm saying it's certain people from the streets that are ready for this lifestyle, and there's certain people that's just not. And I was one of them people that just not. I wasn't ready to be a professional at that age. So I can see why I dropped in the draft at 16, which I'm grateful for. To make it to the NBA. Then you got St. Johns. I was playing with LaVar Postel, Bootsy Thornton had 40 on Duke, Eric Barkley. I was playing with Reggie Jesse from my projects, went to Lockland, Bishop Lockland. I said Eric Barkley. Who else we had? Colin Charles, Kareem Saeed, Shannon Crooks. He was there for a freshman year, then he left. James Felton. Oh my goodness. We had a squad. Alvin Richardson. We had a really, really good team, and St. John's, it meant a lot to me. And it's really cool to see them back. Mr. Pons, NBA bound. We took a tough loss. I know I expect a lot out of St. John's. I expect St. John's to win the finals. And I also expect my son, Jerron Artest, whatever school he goes to, he has St. John's. St. John's offered him. Princeton likes him. He went to visit Stanford. They're interested. Berkeley's interested. Santa Clara's interested. It's really cool. And then my other son, Ron Artest, he's at CSUN right now. So obviously, I want to see my boys do their thing. All right. But, St. John's, a lot of history. I was there with Fran Fraschilla. Fran Fraschilla got fired after my freshman year. I never wanted Fran to get fired. I wanted Fran, and this is not knocking my Jarvis because I was really grateful for my Jarvis who led me to the NBA. But when we had Fran Fraschilla, Fran was on us. He had us doing 20 suicides in 20 minutes. Each suicide, you had to do it in under 34 seconds. It was called 2020s. It was like a suicide mission. It's the closest I've ever felt to death. 2020s, and my teammates could attest to this. 2020s is the closest thing I ever felt to death. Coach Al, strength conditioning coach, St. John's. Reggie Jesse, St. John's. Ron Artest, St. John's. You already know, Alumni Hall, St. John's. We in the building, and I was very proud to be, from that school. And just the history, how would I have not gone anywhere else? I wouldn't have mind going to like LIU, Brooklyn, Manhattan College, Fordham, all that's New York, Queens College, Division II, I guess, but it's all New York City, so I'm not tripping. And but St. John's, I wanted to bring a title there, and we had a chance. We was in the Elite Eight, Ohio State, Sconey Penn, Michael Ray, I love those guys. 57-55. Eric Barkley gets the ball teardrop. It was a great game. I didn't play great that game. It was one of my last games, and I didn't play great, so that might have contributed to me dropping. Maybe they saw I was limited or whatever. Wow, that would have been a Final Four. 2 points away from the Final Four. That season, Tyrone Grant got hurt. When Tyrone Grant got hurt, that killed us. Because before Tyrone Grant got hurt, we was number one in the Big East. I was playing a 3. We had Tyrone Grant. I was playing 3-4. We was on fire. Tyrone Grant gets hurt. We played against UConn. Tyrone Grant, he broke his wrist. He was goofing around in practice one day. And Tyrone goofed around all the time, but he was the tough as nails on the court. Tough. But when he's goofing around, it's like, and he hurt his hand. I was like, I knew he was going to hurt his hand because he's always goofing around. But, when Tyrone Grant went down, that kind of hurt us going into the tournament because it took him a while to get back. He had to get the stroke back because his hand was a little sore. He broke his wrist. And we lost to UConn in the finals by 20. Richard Hamilton, tough player. Kevin Freeman, and a couple others. But we had a good team. That team could have won the finals. UConn won the finals that year. That was really our year, man. And I leave after my sophomore year because I was in a situation where, I was still dibbling and dabbling, in the streets a little bit at St. John's. little things I should not be doing that could potentially get me in trouble. And I'm like, and I'm doing this all, for money. So I said, you know what, I'm just gonna play ball. I have to leave St. John's. I was doing too much, and even when I got to Chicago from St. John's, I was still a little bit too much involved, not really focused on my craft. And what I always tell people is, when you have an opportunity to do something, you got to take advantage of it, and you got to treat it with respect. When I was in the NBA, I was still trying to figure out, like, okay, how am I going to transition to be the best I can be? I mean, people literally didn't give me a shot. When I was a junior, I was ranked 55 in the country. I made the McDonald's game my senior year. I had to be top 24 in the country. And I got the last spot, or maybe I was number 20th in terms of picking it for the McDonald's game. And that's crazy. From Queensbridge Project, got that McDonald's jersey on. And but I took it for granted, and I didn't realize how good I was. I get to, right before I had the brawl in Indiana, I was averaging 24 points, and the best defender in the league on the wing, and probably I got Defensive Player of the Year before that, averaging 18. Finished sixth in MVP voting. So now I'm 4 years into the league, in my prime. First, I got a third team All NBA, first team All Defense, Defensive Player of the Year, All-Star. And how do you stay in that moment? Being from St. John's, it taught me a lot, but I still wasn't ready. I probably should have stayed my junior year. It was a lot of things I wasn't ready for. Maybe it's good I didn't stay with the Knicks, but I always wanted to put on that orange and blue. I literally, to this day, Chicago Bulls is my favorite team. It's always been my favorite team. But I would much rather play for the Knicks in my prime. Now imagine Metta World Peace, Ron Artest in the Garden in my prime. So now I'm averaging 24, and I'm the best defender. I'm not only averaging 24, but I'm keeping people below 20. Unless you're Kobe or LeBron, and LeBron was still young at that time, but, you wasn't getting that many points. T-Mac had some good games, but it was times I got him, but maybe his back was hurting, I don't know. So just imagine taking that Indiana Ron and placing that in the Garden. I don't know how they pass up on that. And shout out to the Knicks. Maybe one day I can coach for the Knicks. Shout out to the head coach right now. So I'm not bashing the Knicks. I'm just speaking my experience. I'm just speaking, on my podcast, XvsX Sports. And I'm just, giving people a little bit of light. So just imagine, the best defensive player in the league from New York City, Queensbridge Projects, playing in the Garden. The best. My goodness, that would have been crazy. I don't know how you pass up on that. Now imagine we get the championship. Now granted, I would have been in the hood every day. No question about it. But it is what it is. I'm a kid, I'm from the streets. Let me live a little bit. But being in the Garden, getting better, and I was never afraid of the St. John's crowd, New York crowd, when they boo. When they boo me, I curse them out. I know how to play in New York City. I ain't afraid of the fans. That's pressure. That's pressure I like. That's why I chose to go to St. John's. That's why I wanted to go to New York. I kept trying to get to New York. I got to New York in the end of my career, but it was too late. So being from St. John's, I am not your typical person where, oh, this guy went to St. John's. He played for the NBA. What a good guy. Oh, what a role model. Oh, my goodness. He makes no mistakes. He's perfect. My goodness, I want his shoes. No, that's definitely not me. That wasn't me at that time. Now, I'm not saying I changed because I still love the streets, but I'm saying at that time, it was, he's from the streets. Do I like him or not? That's what it was. People think sports is just endorsements, sponsorships, TV time. That's not sports for us. Sports is survival. I remember I played against LeBron James. I always mention him because he's, it was the Cleveland Cavaliers, but, LeBron James is on the team. So we played against the Cavs and LeBron. And I had Chatty on the side of my head. That was one of my really good friends, a role model. I always tell people he was the best ball I played against. I played against Jordan. I played against Kobe. And I'm not knocking these guys, but Mike Chatfield he was just as good, to me. And I'm just measuring heart, and I'm also measuring skill, and I'm measuring fundamentals, and I'm measuring backing down and clutch, coming through in the clutch. I seen Michael hit half court shots for game. Mike Chatty beat me 32-2 in the Reese Center, 10th Street, 40 side down block. And I remember being humble but being mad. And Mike was a gangster, so I couldn't really punch him in his face. This game, I was furious. I lost 32-2. I was 13 years old. And so I went and got better. I got better. Then Mike Chatfield, I always wanted to play against him again. Wasn't quite ready for him. And then he goes to jail at 15 years old. He don't come home to 18. By that time, I'm in college. So it was supposed to be, we wasn't supposed to go to LaSalle Academy, which where Shamgar Wells is from. I had an honor to play with Shamgar Wells before I went to St.Johns. And this podcast is dedicated to St. John's, by the way. But it's not like your typical corporate or, I ain't trying to fake nothing, what I'm trying to say. This is Metta World. This is Ron Artest version of St. John's. So we were supposed to go to Long Island City High School. And I'm going to paint a picture for y'all. In high school, me, Elton Brand, Lamar Odom, and Eric Barkley, we played on the AAU team in the summertime, Riverside Church Hawks. We went 67-1. That was in the summertime. Now, high school was supposed to be me, 27-0 senior year, LaSalle Academy Player of the Year with Elton Brand and Nyesha Butler. And Reggie Jesse, Bishop Loughlin, first team All-City with Ron Artest. Reggie Jesse from Nas Block. I'm from Nature Block, okay? Eric Chatfield, Mike Chatfield's brother. Eric Chatfield went to LaSalle Academy with me, averaged 22, I averaged 25, 27-0. He was the second best player on the team. He went to New Mexico with Fran Fraschilla. He later played overseas a lot. So we was all going to be in the same school. No one in Queens was dealing with that. And we was all from the same project. So y'all saw the rappers, but y'all didn't really see the ballers. And we'll shout out Vern Fleming. He's the only Olympian from Queensbridge. I was supposed to be an Olympian. Defensive Player of the Year, third team All NBA, first team All Defense, All-Star, no Olympian. My image is all good. I ain't tripping. There's no way I don't have a gold medal, but whatever. So Queensbridge had just as good a ball as rappers, no question about it. And I don't think my basketball career could attest to Nas's rap career. But if I would have had my head on straight, no question about it, it would have been an even playing field. Probably would have had a couple more championships, some more awards, and it could have been like, oh, wow, Nas and Ron Artest. But I was a wild, wild boy. I wasn't focused on a profession. I wasn't focused on getting money. I wasn't focused on nothing, but I was angry all the time. So now we talk about Metta World Peace at Long Island City High School. Reggie Jesse, Long Island City High School. Eric Chatfield, Long Island City High School. And Mike Chatfield, Long Island City High School. And we didn't even mention my brother, Danny Artest, who was a hell of a player, number two player in New York City his senior year, never played a day in high school. That's my little brother. Nice. We didn't talk about George Jefferson. He went to St. Pete's or St. Joseph. He passed away, R.I.P. George Jefferson. He was up and coming. We also had some other ones. We had Keith Leslie. He went to St. John's Prep. Keith Leslie from Astoria Projects. Larry Jennings, Buddha from Ravenswood. So, when I talk about this podcast and, dedicating this podcast, Ron Artest version, Metta World Peace, Queensbridge Projects, to St. John's, as I dedicate this podcast to St. John's, it was a little bit too much for me. Now, granted, I was in the gym going hard. Sometimes I was outside doing my defensive slides while at St. John's. If I couldn't find a gym, I was going to make it work. I wasn't going to be like, oh, there's no gym, and I can't find one. No, there's no gym, I'm going outside. And I was putting in the work, but I wasn't putting in the preparation to be a professional. I wasn't putting in the preparation, to handle college, focus on the education, go to the NBA, and just chill. I mean, damn it. What more do you want? You're making $999,000. your first year at 19 years old. Now, yeah, it's not like what today's 16th pick, or it wasn't what a first pick get. But who cares? Like, why are you not happy? I was just never happy, but I do credit St. Johns for keeping me straight, because it could have been worse. I want to thank my projects, Queensbridge projects. I want to thank my family first for giving me the platform, supporting me, helping me make it, and get a scholarship to college. I want to thank my projects, and I want to thank St. Johns for connecting, being the bridge for Metta World Peace to represent the city. Shout out to St. John's. This is XvsX Sports. We're going to see y'all soon. Metta World Peace, we out.